Anime is a visual medium and a strong visual presence works in a show's benefit. I often see people who, to put it in a nice way, are f***ing idiots, talk a lot about Attack on Titan animation and dear lord have mercy compare the two studios. Probably because most of them are aware of 3 studios at best, and needless to say it's a little uncomfortable. In the same way that doing a backflip and landing onto your face on a pile of Legos is a little uncomfortable. We will be ranking all seasons of Attack on Titan, individual parts as different entries based on their animation and all around visual quality. Subscribe to improve your visual quality when you step in front of a mirror. I don't know where I'm going with this, but like and subscribe if you enjoy, and let's get started. Honorable mentions, the OVA episodes. I won't be considering any of them, just the main seasons, but no regrets features some of Arifumi Imai's best works. From the ODM sequence across the underground city to an angry Levi transforming into a food processor for Titan meat. Number 6, the weakest of all seasons, Season 4 Part 1. To exactly no one's surprise, let's be honest, it's the weakest looking season. Mappa had around 8 months to work on 16 episodes of a show with a fair bit of action and detail-heavy character designs. I know maths is difficult,
but that is around 2 weeks for
an episode. How did Mappa produce anything aside from 16 episodes of stick figure animation is beyond me. What's even more insane is that some of the CGI models were finished with less than 6 months to go until the release date. And the very first episode had 4 different Titan models. Yeah, Hayashi has some sort of time-based superpower. Over on the positive side of things, the artwork was largely really good. Pure Titans were always hand-drawn. The second episode was a masterclass of consistent top-tier character acting animation. Some standout scenes like Zeke blowing up or Eren's transformation in the last episode. Some great cuts of action such as this one. Over on the negative side of things, the CGI ranges from it works to wow that looked bad to sweet Jesus gouge my eyes out already. Armored Titan model was good though. Human CGI was also very questionable. Some of the composition was bad. Why is everything yellow? Why is there so much blur when there isn't even any CGI or gore that you might need to hide or censor? Overall, I absolutely wouldn't say this season looked bad or even average. It looked good, don't kid yourselves. Your average anime doesn't have shots like this, or even this. Number 5, Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2. Now here we go. The average viewer may remember this season for having this incredibly well animated sequence of animal abuse, also known as a fight. And the slightly above average viewer may think that the reason why this part is so far below is because of the atrocious CGI Colossal, which is obviously a reason. But there's plenty more wrong with this part. Let's start with the art direction and composition. This season looks bad. There's something really unappealing about the compositing. It looks lifeless when in reality it should be the opposite. The city has been abandoned for long, away from war, bloodshed and destruction. Despite being run down and overgrown, it should have a serene sense of beauty and life to it. For a more practical example, this frame from the newest TD for Attack on Titan is how the city should have felt. An atmosphere of calm which would get destroyed as the conflict rekindled, and the peaceful compositing would gradually shift to an unappealing one as a consequence of the fight. But here it's unappealing from the start and stays that way. Also, there's way too much green. The city is overgrown with moss and plants which are green. The hoods of the scouts are green. There's grass outside which is green. Even the walls of the houses have this weird blue-green hue. Focusing on one color for an extended period of time is never a good idea. The atrocious CGI Colossal is something you probably already know about. They also used a 3D model for Season 2, but that was significantly better looking, was integrated into the action really well, and since it was on top of the wall, it didn't interact much with its 2D surroundings. The Season 3 model, however, did, and this is the worst 3D 2D interaction to come out of the series ever. Reiner fight was awfully animated. You people keep talking about Attack on Titan characters dying. What died a worse death is the Armored Titan's anatomy. Season 1 had fluid Reiner with a more simplified design. Season 2 had a more complicated design Reiner which still moved well enough. Season 3 Reiner barely did. Shots with the Armored Titan were either awkward extreme close-ups to avoid drawing too much of him or still frames, or in case of rare full body movement, the anatomy was about as accurate as a raging alcoholic in a field sobriety test. And that's not all. This season also had a severe lack of ODM gear animation. I can remember the Levi fight, Mikasa at one point, a short Hanji scene. That's it, isn't it? Some stuff may seem like ODM gear action, but on closer inspection is actually just the background movement. Burrito got done dirty. His little fight with Mikasa looked awful, stiff and awkward. They didn't even give Birth Control a cool ODM gear scene as a send-off. All we got was some background movement. The actual explosion was painfully underwhelming. I'd be lucky if there were 10 frames of actual explosion in there. And needless to say, Boruto's actual Titan looked awful as well. Positives of the season includes every Arifumi Imai cut such as this, and this, I guess. Some of the background animation and 3D background movements were well done too. Number 4. Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 1. This season features the best animated 3D gear scene, and don't pretend otherwise, it's the best one. This part also features some of the best explosion animation witstudio has offered for Attack on Titan. It's a shame Benedict's final transformation didn't get these kind of visuals to go with it. There are more ODM gear highlights from this season, although this one looked a bit underwhelming. A lot of the season is not action, and let's be honest, Wit isn't the best at non-action stuff for Attack on Titan at least, so I don't remember how a good deal of the season looked, but I do remember several incredibly impressive action cuts throughout. There's honestly not that much action there though, and since Wit Studio's team for Attack on Titan is not very good with stuff that isn't action in the same way that an ostrich is not very good with calculus, a majority of the part looks normal or average, and Attack on Goddamn Titan should not be looking average. It occasionally felt boring, and no, that's not due to the narrative around this part of the series, it's the lack of clever storyboards, somewhat cartoonish looking character designs which may be easy to draw for action scenes, but when it's a close-up of them talking, it doesn't look the best. The art direction and composition was largely pretty good throughout. Number 3. Attack on Titan Season 4 Part 2. Mappa had a slightly better schedule for this one. The animators could actually sleep once every 2 months as opposed to the once every 6 months for Part 1. Hayashi only lost 65% of his lifespan against the 82% he lost previously. That doesn't make sense, but maths is hard, shut up. And only 16 animators died making this, and you don't wanna know the death toll for Part 1. The main difference between Part 1 and Part 2 of Season 4 visually was that while Part 1 had some standout scenes that were really well animated, Part 2 had some standout episodes that were really well animated in their entirety. From the get-go, Part 2 showed better, slightly revamped CGI models, better art direction, and holy hell they fixed Teren's mouth-opening animation, sweet Jesus, thank you so much. A lot more 2D going towards the Titans as well, with Teren and the jaws between the 2 dimensions, and the Beast Titan having whole segments where he was entirely 2D. The cart and the female Titan also had their share of switching between the 2 dimensions, while shifters that made brief appearances such as Falco's jaw, Grisha's Attack Titan, the Founder and Frida's Founding Titan were all fully hand-drawn, as making a model from scratch for the 7 seconds of screen time would actually take more effort than just drawing them. Also, 3 different ODM gear scenes, thank the lord. This part also saw more creativity on part of the anime team as opposed to being a one-to-one of the manga. One last positive, this part saw the best bit of character acting animation the series has ever seen. Over on the negatives, the CGI, despite being improved, fits in about as much as a kid with an anime haircut in normal society. Characters look stiff at times, dialogue didn't look the smoothest, but this was a very good looking season, or rather part overall. Number 2. Attack on Titan Season 2. You'll notice a trend here. For Wit Studio seasons, their position is proportional to the amount of Arifumi Imai cuts. Season 2 does some stuff Season 3 also does, such as a 3D Colossal and a more detailed Armored Titan, but actually does them well. Featuring gorgeous animation for Zeke, which was so good they copy-pasted it in Season 3, amazing ODM gear sequences, especially during the first half. The Colossal Titan model didn't look the best, but the way it was integrated into the action was incredibly creative. I don't know why they decided to go with a more detailed design for Reiner when it obviously took way more effort and, in my humble opinion, actually looks inferior to the simplified design in Season 1. The character art was on point, having amazing frames and whatever the hell this is. Seriously, what is this? What is this? The whole Titan MMA sequence was really well done. The choreography was creative and most importantly, so unique. That's not how giants fight. They're supposed to roar and punch each other every once in a while, not lock in arm bars and guillotine chokes. They should not be doing arm triangle takedowns. Eren, you did this one a bit wrong by the way. You don't just fall in the forward direction, you get a little bit of torque by slightly rotating to have a stronger snap and increase the likelihood of a successful takedown. But bloody brilliant all of it was. Every Imai cut was unreal. Over on the negatives, Wit's inability to do much outside of action was pretty obvious during some parts, especially the flashback in episode 6. The characters realize the biggest betrayal and the animation is essentially mouth open mouth close and nothing else. No character acting, no clever storyboards, nothing. Though this season did have some rare character acting bits here and there. Also another thing, just a personal issue, nothing significant, but why did they cut up this sequence? Why? Why are you doing this? Why do you hate me so much? Why? Stop. Very good looking season though. And number 1, Attack on Titan Season 1. The very first season is also the best animated season in my opinion. Yeah, there are cuts in the later seasons better than anything from Season 1, but Season 1 is consistent. There are no real negatives to this season visually. A simplified Reiner moves incredibly well early on. The Colossal is actually hand-drawn, always, and nearly every episode featured top-tier cuts of animation. Not just Arifumi Imai having a ridiculous amount of cuts, but also Yasuyuki Ebara doing the most amount of work he has ever done for any season of Attack on Titan. This season also features his best cut of animation from the series. It also features featured the most amount of character acting which Attack on Titan has ever seen, although still very little, dare I say. And some of the cuts are so needlessly well animated it's actually unbelievable. Every episode that has any form of action, which is most episodes, have several top tier cuts throughout. I can start talking about the highlights, but the video would be an hour long. Also, fun fact, the ending to Ibara's cut was reused in the season 2 opening. So that was it. Did you agree with my picks? Comment down below how you would rank the Attack on Titan seasons based on their animation. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and until next time.